Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's kiki, which is Jen Shah pleading for her life, along with her son, who is also pleading with the judge to give her leniency and no jail time. As we all know, her upcoming sentencing in her fraud case that she pleaded guilty to, I believe it's coming up this January. So within the next month, she will be sentenced. We also know that she decided to skip the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion while she slammed Bravo and Andy Cohen for not caring about her and just using her for clicks, views, ratings, and money, in which I say, duh. But before we dive in, you know what to do. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it when we go live. Also, be sure to share this with a friend because a kiki is always better with community. And check out our description box down below. So with that, you guys, let's dive right on in. So first, let's talk about Jen Shah herself pleading for, a reduced sentence. Now, this is according to page 6. It says, Real Housewife of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah requests reduced prison sentence after pleading guilty. Jen Shah has requested a reduced prison sentence after pleading guilty to wire fraud. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star, whose plea agreement calls for up to 14 years behind bars, is asking for 3 years in prison, court documents obtained by page 6 reveal. We submit that such a sentence is just and fair because it takes into account Ms. Shah's history and characteristics, the facts and the circumstances of the offense, and meets that a court impose a sentence that is not greater than necessary to achieve the goals of punishment, Shah's attorney, Priya Chaudhry, wrote in a sentencing submission filed on Friday. Shah's legal team listed several reasons why she should serve the reduced sentence, arguing that the reality star had, quote, no direct contact with the alleged victims and that her history and characteristics align with a smaller sentencing. Her lawyers emphasized how much this case has already cost Shah, 49, and caused embarrassment, fear, and shame for her family. Husband Sharif Shah, 51, and son Sharif Shah Jr., 28, and Omar, 19. Jen would never do anything to risk more harm to her children, Jen's attorney argued. She knows the emotional and psychological toll that her sons have already been forced to pay. These are harms for which she will spend the rest of her life atoning. The Bravo celebrity also submitted a statement accepting complete responsibility for the terrible business decision she made. The 3-page statement, which has been largely redacted, went on to explain how the personal, painful experiences of losing her father and grandmother, as well as being a cast of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, gave her, quote, a real chance to escape her previous business ventures. My poor judgment and bad business associations caused innocent people to lose their money and be victimized by investing in poorly structured businesses' products that I influenced or controlled, Jen concluded. For that, I am genuinely sorry, and I will work for the rest of my life to make it right. Jen will learn her fate on January 6th, 2023. She changed her plea to guilty days before she was set to stand trial for allegedly running a nationwide telemarketing scheme. Jen's request for a lower sentencing came the same day she announced she wouldn't be attending the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 3 reunion and blasted Bravo for finding it, quote, unsatisfactory that she wouldn't be able to discuss her legal woes. Seems like Jen finally has got some damn common sense. Bravo, the executives at Bravo's, the producers at Bravo's, and your castmates, Heather Gay included, don't actually care, boo-boo. They don't. Because this is the thing. They're all being pretty much fake and phony, right? Whitney turned her back on you the moment you pled guilty, and I get it, you pled guilty, but let's just take a step back on the situation. Yes, what Jen did was 100% wrong. Yes, there are real victims whose money she stole, but it's not like she did, I don't know, loss of life or something like that. I don't know. I just think that, and I'm not being a Jen Shah defender. Trust me. She is loud. She fights. She bullies. She's over the top. She's dramatic. She's all of that stuff. But I also think that there has been a lot of fake friends when it comes to Jen. Heather Gay, Whitney Rose, Meredith Marks is a fake friend. She's standing by her now, but only out of necessity. Just like she said, convenience, right? But let's go on to what her son is saying in her defense. Now, this is according to Radar Online. And I also want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Jen's, she's been remorseful? I will give her that. Unlike a Teresa Giudice, unlike a Erica Jane Girardi, unlike those people, Jen Shah has taken full accountability and responsibility. Maybe it's too little too late. You're only taking accountability because you got caught. You're only taking responsibility because you don't want to go to jail for a long time. That's one argument on this on one hand. It's not like she stopped on her own accord. She stopped because she got caught. So there is that. But I will say, out of all the people who've been caught doing fraud, I think Jen has been the most remorseful. I know she said, "Oh, I'm innocent," but like, what else was she gonna say? You got me, clink, clink. No, she had to, wait to the last minute, of course. But out of everybody, she has been the most remorseful. And again, I'm not defending Jen Shah. She defrauded actual real victims, people who needed that money for food, who needed it for their retirement, who needed it for whatever. It was just their money. Even if they wanted it just to hold on to it, it was their money to do whatever they wanted to do with it. It was not hers to scheme and scam and take away. So trust me, I am not defending Jen Shah on this. But I do think that in Bravo history, there are certain criteria for certain people who do certain things and other people who don't. But let's dive into what her son is saying. So this is from Radar Online. It's an exclusive. Quote, "She is not perfect." Real Housewife of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah's son, Sharif Jr., writes emotional letter to judge pleading for his mom not to be thrown in prison. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah's sons wrote emotional letters to the judge presiding over her criminal case, pleading for a soft prison sentence, RadarOnline.com has learned. According to court documents obtained by Radar Online, Shah, 49, submitted various letters from her family members in hopes it would convince the judge to not throw the book at her. The Bravo star pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and agreed to forfeit $6.5 million as part of a plea agreement reached with prosecutors in July. Shah believed she would only serve 3 years for her role in the scheme that targeted elderly people. However, her plea agreement states she could be sentenced up to 14 years in prison. As Radar Online first reported, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star's husband, Coach Shah, wrote a letter to the judge last week. Now her two sons, Sharif Jr. and Omar, have done the same. Sharif Jr. told the court, "I am Jennifer Shah's eldest son. I'm writing to you with the hope that I may accurately describe my mother's character and provide an idea of who she truly is. I recognize that regardless of her recent mistakes, my mother has exemplified positive ideas throughout my entire life. I'm happy to have learned from her and to have gained an understanding that all individuals are flawed, and these flaws do not negate their positive aspects," he added. That is so sweet. From my earliest memories, I can recall my mother modeling the ideas of generosity and caring, he said. Side note, again, you guys, I'm not being a Jen Shah defender, but I said this on another live. It does seem that again, there are real victims, and I'm not taken away from that. But it does seem like, and I'm only comparing her to the Bravo frauds that we know about and other reality stars like the Todd and Julia Chrisleys of the world, the Tom and Erica Jane Girardis of the world, the Joe and Teresa Giudices of the world, right? I will say it does seem like Jen Shah used the money she stole not just for herself and her immediate family, but she did seem to give it to her extended family and friends. She did seem to have a very generous, giving spirit. Again, I say that with a grain of salt. I'm trying to have both perspectives on it because it was never her money to give in the first place. And I'm very, very clear on that. But at the same time, we're all human. We're all human beings. And she did make a mistake. And again, I know it was never her money to give in the first place. But I think that of all the people who've done the fraud, it seems like Jen Shah was the most generous with her money. It wasn't just going to buying, your mistress a house or a new pair of boobs, but it also went to, one second, you guys. Sorry about that. But it also went to helping out like her extended family and friends. Ooh, 1 second, you guys. Ooh, I have a little bit of a cold that just won't stop. But let's get back into it. Sharif defended his mom, claiming she used her fame for good. My mother has developed a platform that she utilizes to support social justice movements, healthcare reform, and equality in multiple forms. She has volunteered to speak at panels on racial prejudice in our local community, and she has served as a spokeswoman for racial affinity groups across Utah. My mother has marched in support of her political beliefs and empowers others to do the same, he said. That's really, really sweet. However, I get that she's done all these good things, but I think what's really going to shoot Jen Shah in the foot is the still public displays of defiance and anger. You know, trying to crash BravoCon, thinking you could trust Tamara Judge with anything. You know, Tamara Judge going on her Instagram live saying like, oh, Jen Shah said she's okay and she's not going to jail, and that Jen Shah stole alcohol out of my hotel room and all of that stuff. Not a good look. TMZ, you know, breaking footage of her screaming and yelling and doing the absolute most outside of a restaurant in front of people, you know, her having Twitter and Instagram wars and beefs with people, her staying on the show. So as much as this is a beautiful letter by her son, her public antics are saying something completely different. Like, I think that she should have not gone back to the show. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Jen Shah should have come back to the show after she got arrested? Or do you think that she should have quit the show and focused on, you know, staying out of prison? Let's keep going. He continued, while my mother has done and continues to do great things, she is not perfect. She is flawed and has made mistakes that have hurt numerous people and their families. I am aware that she has pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and I am hurt and saddened for the families that have been impacted. While I understand that there must be a consequence for these actions, I am asking that you view my mother through the lens of forgiveness and compassion. I believe that my mother recognizes her wrongdoings and will be a better service to society if she is given a sentence of probation, he wrote. Aww, so sad. Omar's letter was sealed by the court. Shah is scheduled to be sentenced on January 6th. I wonder why Omar's letter was sealed by the court, but Sharif's wasn't, because Omar is 19, so he's no longer a minor, because isn't 18 and under considered a minor? Not 21 and under? So if Omar is 19, I wonder why they chose to seal Omar's letter, but they did not seal Sharif's letter. Put it down there. Let me know what you think. But let me know what you guys think in general. You know, do you think that Jen Shah is playing innocent and demure a little bit too little too late? Because if I'm the judge, if I'm going to be honest, if I was the judge, I would think it's a little bit too little too late, Jen. Like, now you're trying to, put your family first. Now you're trying to not go to the reunion when you've had over a year since you were arrested and all of that stuff to get your stuff in order. But if I'm the judge, of course your sons are going to say, you're amazing. Please don't put her in prison. Of course your husband is going to say, please be lenient, right? But if I'm the judge, I'm looking at all the articles in Reality Blurb, Page 6, Radar Online, the TMZ tapes, the BravoCon debacle, the staying on the show. That's what I'm really going to look at. So I want to know what you guys think. What do you think is going to happen to Jen Shah on January 6th? Do you think she's going to get probation? Do you think she's going to get 3 years? Do you think she's going to get the max 14? What do you think is going to happen to her? Put it down below. But before you do that, you know what to do. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it when we go live. Also, be sure to share this with a friend because a kiki is always better with community, and check out our description box down below. With that, you guys, I love ya, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review and join the conversation on Instagram @Candy Washington. Let's go!